What did I teach you?
You are Duke of New York. You're A #1.
I can't hear you.
You are the Duke of New York. You're A #1.
Peace, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Great. Hope everybody's well, inshallah, as well as can be. Word. Another day in Universe B, for real. Anybody have any questions about anything before we start? A lot of stuff going on. The fervor is dying down in terms of the alleged candidacy of what's her name? A lot of the mystique and fervor is dying down, which they just kind of threw that out there on her, just because they needed to take away from the horror of the attempted assassination. It's, the assassination attempt, and the fact they were trying to low-key downplay that, which is not cool. Because it ain't go how they want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of stuff ain't go down with that how they was really expecting. So they kind of feeling it. And a lot of the lusters starting to come off of the gold plating that they're trying to put on it. The Dionysian Olympics started, and this year they actually have a dude who was convicted of raping a 12-year-old girl, and he's still able to compete. You know what I'm saying? He's still able to compete. It's all good. They got their little Dionysian ritual going. Everybody thought it was the Last Supper, and it was to a degree, but it was more about Bacchus, aka Dionysus. And the response they did was, oh, it's because, the Olympian represent, the Greeks, and, Bacchus or Dionysus is the god of wine, and, France is like the wine capital, and, all of the typical lies that the Luciferians be telling to hide and shield their rituals. But you notice right after that shit happened, the whole country basically went dark for a couple of seconds, except that big Orthodox church on the hill. So yes, the Roman circus is still popping off, doing what it needs to do. So I thought that was funny. So yes, it was, because technically that's what they based the whole Last Supper image on anyway, being that the Dionysian cult goes back before the birth of so-called their Jesus the Christ, that they worship and they believe is their God. However, based on the killing of the alleged killing, well, I mean, I don't know. I can't say because they run so many fake programs and stuff to this day, and it seemed like they needed another death to go with their little you know, their little things they be doing to try to get their little rituals on, to accomplish their little goals. So honors to the family, if that happened like that. Also, I'd be leery of it all, especially when as soon as something happened, they only called Ben Crump, who himself was a 32nd degree Mason. You know what I'm saying? And he's always the one they call. It used to be Sharpton, but I guess he got his CNN gig popping, so he don't got time for that. So they always call this dude when they want that payout, and then nothing seemed to actually happen with these families and stuff after that shit happens. You know what I'm saying? So it's all over the place with their little dramas and rituals and stuff. But the main thing is to always know that these things is not what they be trying to make us believe they are, and we must always be conscious of that. Yeah, they little plays, they little Jason plays and all of that. So the whole country's in an outroar, but they had to do something, like I said, to take away from the assassination thing because that was such a big thing. And they've been doubling down and trying to, hide. I'll show you in a minute what they've been doing to try to distance themselves away from it even really happening like that, to the point they got the fake FBI director to act like it never even, that he might not even been hit by a bullet. It might have been shrapnel, but it's like shrapnel from what? He wasn't standing in front of no wood door or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Also, if anybody can be kind, if you haven't already sent the 30 to dsboy18.com, I'd really appreciate it if you did, because we got more people in that have actually donated. So I just want to, stay on top of that. Because this is not a corporately funded organization, so I depend on people looking out. So I appreciate that. But yeah, for the most part, they've been doing what they be doing. They trying to hide the fact. They trying to doubt the nigga was even hit in the ear. That's what made me feel like it happened. You know what I'm saying? Because they really got caught with their pants down. You know what I'm saying, with this situation, because it ain't go how they wanted to. Remember, I showed you last week. They already had set up the stock short. They don't already had Rothschilds and Soros and Clinton and them and BlackRock, and everybody was standing to make a killing off that hit. You know what I'm saying? They was about to get bread off of that. And the fact that it didn't happen, you know what I'm saying? As soon as it happened, they wound up taking the BlackRock commercial with the nigga off the air altogether. You can't even find it on the air no more. You got to go to YouTube and get somebody's clip to see it. So they scrubbed that shit off real quick. And like I said, they just doing what they can do right now to kind of like distance themselves. So I think they needed a hit. They needed another murder or something like that where they could throw the race card in to throw everybody off. So that's why I think they activated the race soldier, the police dude that pop shorty, and did his thing. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, you got to understand that the machine that you're dealing with is being funded unilaterally, However, that $81 million that they said this bitch was able to acquire. Remember they said she got like $81 million on top of the million that the sorority. Didn't I tell you there was gonna be nothing but sorority chicks bigging this chick up? Well, anyway, that $81 million that actually was supposed to go to Biden. So according to the laws, the fundraising laws, it has to go back to the donors before they, and then if the donors that gave it up say that they that they want to give it to her, then cool, but she just can't take it like that because everything that she got in terms of that bread was actually set up for Pedo Joe. So that's in question. So that's about $81 million that's about to be frozen, because if they don't freeze it, then it look like that, you know what I'm saying, they fixing everything again, and that everybody already know that they be lying. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the problem, with the whole scam as it's running right now. They don't have enough to keep everybody, you know what I mean, happy and the palms greased and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Also, a lot of sketchy stuff is coming out about the hit, which again makes me feel that part was real, because I'm gonna show you some of the inconsistencies. So they not talking about the cameraman that was out there who wound up dead, shot in the head by the Secret Service. They not talking about him because they saying allegedly people saw him try to shoot the nigga too. And they don't just use one shooter in a situation like that. They always have a backup shooter just in case. So there was a cameraman that they not talking about that was out there that allegedly, bought it. That's this nigga right here. See this nigga right here in the gray? They said that he wanted a thing, and then a little after the pops went off, they turned around. People turned around, and then this nigga was buck dead, shot in the head on the floor. But it didn't come from the crook gun. He was shot by a police officer and allegedly a Secret Service dude. So that right there is sketchy. You know what I'm saying? They got him out there looking crazy. Then they calling for this nigga Ray to resign too, because again he blatantly saying shit that's politically motivated and untrue. They don't know that this nigga, to say that he may have been shot, hit with shrapnel, like that's crazy, because the bullet didn't go into nothing for it to create shrapnel. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they let the nigga on the roof, they knew he was walking around with the rangefinder. They knew that he was already in the area. They saw him with the ladder. He was on top of a building with the police and them niggas inside the building, right? It was just one big cluster. It was supposed to look random, and they were trying to make the hit look like it was just a breakdown of communication, like it was just incompetence that would have led to him getting killed, instead of these niggas creating the auditorium for this to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they did. So they blew it though. It didn't work. So now they looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? They looking like real not only incompetent, they almost looking willfully incompetent, and that's not good. You know what I'm saying? It was a willful hit that they wanted to make happen, or allow to seemingly make happen. And the fact that this nigga was in a BlackRock commercial and all this other shit just don't look good. So the one thing about the Republicans, man, them niggas is not sloppy with they little situation, because they're not as thirsty to react as the so-called Democratic progressive liberal left. You know what I'm saying? who have, done that. The other thing that done came out, I don't know if y'all know. This is also before we get into, the other stuff, because I don't always want to talk about these white people. But just so you know, let me pull this up. The other thing that's crazy is that nobody knows who opened up the 3 different bank accounts that this nigga had offshore. One in Switzerland, one in the Cayman Islands, and one in Singapore, where he had about $1.5 million forwarded to these alleged accounts. And remember, they said that he had encrypted accounts. So if he had an encrypted account where he had $1.5 million, but this nigga lived as a middle class, from a middle class family, who both his mother and his father are behavioral scientists. So you know what that means. That's mind control. That's MK Ultra. You know what I'm saying? That's CIA. And yeah, he already got his bread wired already. So he was ready to cash out, do his thing. You know what I mean? And remember, I told you BlackRock was the ones doing that. Then on your right hand side, you see here, this is the FBI now cleaning up the crime scene. They spraying water and shit all over the crime scene. On top, this nigga on top of the roof. So they're destroying evidence. And they talking about it's going to take them 60 days to come up with some sort of report. But remember, the niggas on YouTube got the hit from all different angles. They got it in simultaneous real time where they showing you this nigga talking, and they showing mad angles of this nigga walking up the ladder, taking the rangefinder, taking out the gun. Like this is what regular people on YouTube doing. So they done basically already showed the fact that this shit was already allowed to happen. George Carlin once said that there doesn't need to be a plan when people's agendas align. You know what I'm saying? So this nigga was obviously getting paid. Yeah, and then just look at this nigga. This nigga's hosing down the crime scene. It ain't even been a month yet, and they wiping it down. This is the FBI. They supposed to be. He not spraying no fingerprint dust and none. This nigga spreading straight water on this shit, hiding, destroying the evidence. This is destroying the forensic evidence that's there. So this, again, you can't, it's beyond incompetence now. Now you're dealing with a straight cover-up. You know what I'm saying? So remember what they did with the JFK thing. They said you wasn't going to be able to get none of that information until 2041 or some shit like that. But it done already came out. We already know that it was CIA and the mob under the Giancana family that took the hit out and made it happen. We already know all of that. You know who told us that? Fucking Quincy Jones. This nigga Quincy Jones dropped the dime on that shit, B. Because he was hooked up with Frank, you know what I'm saying? Frank Sinatra. And they already knew when the hit and all of that was going to come down. So, and who did it and all of that type of shit. So that's that. Then your girl, they trying to say that she wasn't in charge of the border, and that was just some made up shit from the thing. But again, that thing came out that that's not true, because you could just go back to CNN almost a year, 2 years ago, and just look up their feed, and all they do is talk about how she was appointed to the border and she was the czar on it and all that shit. CNN is saying that now. So they literally are trying to drive people insane, gaslight the people on top of it. You know what I'm saying? The people that's caught up in all of that. Just like they trying to turn her into some sort of African American female icon, when I don't know how you could take a Indian, because they said she's an Indian American senator. This is what she said herself. She say herself this. She an Indian American, right? Who's from Jamaica. So how did they turn an Indian plus a Jamaican into an American when she wasn't born in America to do that? And on her birth certificate, she listed as Caucasian. So how they doing that? How do they do that? You know how they do that? They get a bunch of black Greek cultists, you know what I'm saying? Black pseudo feminist chicks that's coming out saying that. But the best part is Black Lives Matter done came out, and they basically are saying that the way that they appointed this bitch is illegal, and that America is a constitutional republic, and it's not an oligarchy where you could just appoint and coronate who you want. Black Lives Matter is saying this, bro. The the Marxist, feminist, communist niggas is coming out and saying this about this chick. That's how you know the game is just a wash. Like the whole thing is just a big joke now. They just trolling niggas now. When BLM is coming out and trying to talk about the Constitution and the Republican shit, you know it's over. You know it's a wrap for them. Their whole narrative has just collapsed in on itself. So of course they got to use the useful eaters, the black sorors, and all of these niggas that went to her. I saw a clip, and they was talking about and this from a white news publication, and they were saying, oh, pictures of Kamala Harris wearing door knockers resurfaced. Like, what? What? White people don't even know what door knocker earrings are. Like, what are you talking about? So what? What does that? Every time you see this bitch, she dancing. You right? She dabbing hot sauce on shit, talking about how she was used to wash collard greens and had so many orders for collard greens that she used to have to wash them in the tub and all of this Negro shit. She dancing with this nigga Kirk Franklin, right? She always laughing, she always dancing with the black marching band. All this bitch is doing is dancing, eating hot sauce, and all of this other Negro shit that's like regular black people ain't even doing that no more. You know what I'm saying? They not even doing that no more. She did nothing about policy, nothing about agenda, nothing about what she plans to do with anything, with nothing, because she really can't stand on nothing, because she ain't do nothing. Her only requirement under the DEI presidency was the fact that she was colored. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's her accomplishment, is the fact that she's colored. That's it. She's not there to do nothing. She's not there to do nothing. And like I said, I told y'all in the class, I said, watch, the only people that's going to support this is going to be the sorority chicks, right? The black Greek simp male cultists, right? And I was right. These niggas raised $1 million for this bitch overnight by being on the phone. Has any of these sorority sisters raised any money for the Sonia Massey family? Have they got on a conference call and raised any money for her? Because they so care about melanated women and all of this. Has any of them done that for her? She just got popped. You haven't heard nobody raise no money for that, but it's a national day of outrage. How is it a national day of outrage? What are you talking about? How is it that? How is it that when y'all could go on the phone call and make $1 million and raise $1 million for this other chick that's not even so-called black? Y'all love blackness, but this bitch is not even black. Her real name ain't even Harris. It's Emhoff. She's Mr. Emhoff's wife. Yeah, because I told you the sororities and the fraternities were created as military re-education camps for all of these people that were in the republic that they was going to try to redirect and re-educate through the democracy. After they locked up all of the prisoners of war, they lynched all of the melanated people who were the emperors and the kings and the alcaides and the mayores and the chiefs and all of them people that they lynched and shit. They got rid of all of them. Then the ones that they wasn't able to lynch and all that, then they put all of them in the repurposed castles that they turned into insane asylums. And then all of the children that was left, they put them in these military installations that was ran by Miss Spellman, by General Howard, by what's the other one? It's Spellman, Howard. All of these are military installations, repurposed military installations from the castles and shit that they took from us. And then they had this first generation that they could indoctrinate, and then that's when they started the whole slavery reconstruction story shit on everybody else, and they've been running that grift ever since. Then to keep the story going, they the same Dems created the what you call it, the who you call them niggas, the KKK, the terrorist organization, after they reorganized everything under the Act of 1871, Organic Act of 1871, redirected the power to Rome, aka the Washington D.C., and then started using the terrorist organizations to get rid of the rest of the so-called Republicans, i.e. Moors, that was not going down with the bullshit or going with the Indian re-education shit they was doing. And then thus we get here. Now we're on the Feast of Dionysus, right? So now you got the whole trans, right? And this is what you call it. This is in France, the home of the sodomites, right? So then when you look at this, then when you look at the Hunger Games, this is what they doing. They was showing you in the books and the movies that this is what they doing, that this is what they want the world society to be, a caricature of itself. This is Dionysus, but he is also playing the green man. Even though he's blue, he's also playing the green man, which is another occultist imagery, because it goes back to the Feast of Bacchus and Dionysus, which again is the giant orgy that all of these people come. That's why if you look at the torch that they used this year for their shit, that shit look like a big joint. Didn't it? It looked like a big joint. It ain't look like no torch that we used to see when they used to do the Olympics back in the days. It looked like one big joint, one big marijuana joint. And who did they have carrying the shit? Snoop Dogg. They trolling. They are trolling the entire world, man. They trolling the entire world. Then they got the biggest devil. They got Beyonce to be up in there, right? Doing the whole USA thing. She done formally transitioned into a white woman, right? She's totally a Caucasian woman now. She's transitioned into a Caucasian. She identifies as Caucasian, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what they doing. This is America, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught slipping. You know what I mean? And you can't for a second think that they doing it. That any of this is really what they saying it is, because it's all fake. It's all part of the show. It's all part of the fake program that they've been running this shit, and it's not working. It's not working how they want anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah, so after they do that, all the Christians do an uproar, and then boom, all of the lights go out, right? Then they found a Dutch dude. They found somebody dead up in there already. Somebody already died at the joint already before it even start. Niggas is up out of here. And like I said, they allowing a dude who was convicted of child rape. They got a child rapist. Now imagine if he win. If he win, that means that they got to put a medal around a convicted child rapist. But they worried about you misgendering somebody in the shit. You see what I'm saying? It's a joke. This fake New World Order shit is a joke, B. The effeminization of men is real. Same thing when they be doing now, like if you into Bitcoin and shit like that, like watch some of these YouTube joints that you go into, because some of them is set up by the feds. They're actually entrapping men now. They're entrapping men because so many men have walked away from participating in any of this bullshit, especially when it comes to dating and things like that, that they actually now are trying to lock niggas up for watching videos that they entrap them into watching about Bitcoin. Now, the irony in that is the biggest donator to the Democratic Party besides George Soros was this nigga Sam Bankman-Fried. You understand? He was the biggest donor to all of them, and ain't nobody investigating that. So what they doing is they putting up videos about Bitcoin and certain other things and shit like that, and then if you click onto them and they see that you watching them, they trying to use that as a pretense to come into your crib and all of that to try to bust you down. So the best thing to do is get you a little VPN or something like that if you're going to do browsing or browse through your private browser and shit like that, so that way you don't get caught up in that, or don't even watch none of that shit. That's the best thing to do, because 78% of that Bitcoin shit is a scam. Because remember, Bitcoin was set up by Satoke Sokoke or something Yatashi and all of that. And then when you do the knowledge on his name, it'll break it down to intelligence agency. And remember that Bitcoin first got alerted to us through the movie Dope. That was done by Pharrell and starred ASAP Rocky in them. And before that, Bitcoin was used by CIA to parrot funds and hide, black budget money and all that crap that they be doing. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all a scam in the universal sense anyway. So you just want to be careful with that type of shit. Yeah, so they setting up honey traps and shit on the YouTube now with all of that. So definitely be careful when you're watching all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what it all boils down to, is that we're watching the destruction of so-called Western civilization, which is what was written about in The Fall of America by Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him. What people like Brother Dawood have been preaching for all of these years and stuff like that. It's just that when we was younger, going through that and, wanting to see that manifest and happen in certain ways, we were younger. So it was more appealing to us because we didn't necessarily feel like some of us who were disenfranchised felt like we didn't have a future, that we didn't have any alternative, outside of what, they have showed us that we could have. So, and a lot of us were inundated heavily with the mind control, we all from Africa, Pan-African shit and all of that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We was caught up in all of that. So we definitely wasn't looking at ourselves in the future. But now that we're older, you know what I'm saying, and we start to really understand what nationality and things like that is about and all of that, we now understand the difference between the United States and the so-called corporation posing as the United States of America and General Congress Assemble. We know that there is an alternative to the depravity and the shit that these people have been doing. Like, case in point, did you know that most, if not all, of the Confederate statues that were taken down, right, were actually put up by Democrats? Do you know that? Now, again, I'm not speaking to you from the perspective of wanting you to be a Republican in the modern sense or any political affiliation in that regard. If anything, we supposed to understand what the Republic really is in correspondence to nationality and the empire. So I'm just speaking as a matter of course or a matter of fact. that yeah, all of these things was put up by Democrats and taken down by Democrats. Isn't that interesting? You want to check out these books if you can get copies of them, especially the one in the middle. You know what I mean? Because 90% of the stuff they're talking to us about when it comes to this shit is all propaganda anyway. You know what I mean? Coming from both sides, you know. However, one, like I said, they said only difference between a Republican and Democrat is that if you vote for the Republicans, they'll try to turn the place into a socialist utopia in about 15 to 20 years. If you live it up to the Democrats, they're gonna try to do it too. So you know what I mean? You just got to decide how fast you want to slide down the razor's edge. You know what I mean? Yeah, that is a good book. The book, brother Jay said, Jay Bay said the book, Disclosure 101. Yep, that's a great book, man. You know what I'm saying? The best thing to do, for people who may be listening or watching later and who are actively politically involved with all of this, the best thing that you can do, especially if you want to see something progress properly, is to not talk about or not show anybody or build anybody who and what you're going to vote for. That's really the best thing you can do is keep all that shit to yourself. Don't go on no websites and all of that from the perspective of this is who I'm gonna vote for, this is who I'm gonna endorse. You can call shit out, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody got an opinion, but when it comes to something definitive like that, you don't want to say nothing. Islam, Nasir Bey. Nasir Bey say, yo, more I notice whenever you mention a book, they go up in the price. Yeah, man, because the algorithm be on that shit with me because he don't want nobody to read these books, man. That's the problem when the FBI started the war on the black bookstores to make way for Jeff Bezos. It's the same thing they doing now with the same shit they doing with what's his name? With the TikTok shit. They trying to dead that. You know what I mean? Because that's cutting in on Bezos and their money. And people actually getting money off of that. You know, TikTok be paying out. But the downside is that they also taking your money. They also harvesting your data. You got niggas in China. Every time you post something on TikTok or shit, they going back on the back end in your account and reading all your texts and downloading all the shit that you into. Like that's part of it too. You know what I'm saying? Like people not paying attention to that part. You know what I'm saying? But that's also happening. You know, so we need to be aware of both sides of the argument. You know what I mean? They also have a right because you know all United States all apps from America that's manufactured in the United States is banned in China. You can't have no American app in China because they know. Because the same thing China doing here, the United States is doing to them. They sending balloons and shit over there. They sending and backdoor shit in there so they can find out what people is doing. Yeah, they been harvesting they data and going through them and all of that. It go both ways. Islam, China, you right. Yeah, a lot of the imagery with the Moors and all of that, we done flooded it so much that now they starting to reduce the imagery. Like next time you want to search something, go to Google, right? Google's supposed to have billions of data wadded aspects of information. And you could type in a basic thing and you'll only get like 100 to 200 prompts on the shit. How is that? How is it that this is the giant, biggest search engine in the entire world, right? But when you type in certain information, you only get like 1 or 2 pages worth of shit. What's going on with that? Who explaining that? Where's all of this real information going? Yeah, man, that's what the whole thing is. The whole thing was to find ways to do that. But see, now Chevron is a wrap. They done deaded that. So the Chevron deference has destroyed their ability to be able to monopolize and use fake government agencies to take over niggas, to take over people's stuff anymore. That's the main thing people not really paying attention. That's why they're not even talking about it. When the last time you heard them talk about the Chevron deference? They're not even talking about that. You know why? Because this now debts child support, it debts income tax, it debts a lot of different shit because they don't have the ability to monopolize that anymore. Because the Moors themselves have now come into their own, or we're coming into our own, and we're starting to realize that we have the power to basically create our own communities and our own municipalities and shit like that now, because a lot of the stuff that they have talked about is no longer, they're no longer able to detract it. Remember a little while ago, United States got found guilty of genocide of melanated people and all of that. Well, now they can't use any of the Chevron deference information to block any of that. So technically what this means is that all of the courts that exist right now have basically become Article 3 courts now. You understand? Because the administrative courts were there under the Chevron deference to be able to mitigate and keep them from going into the constitutional republic. So they could just try you as a republic member in the democracy. Now the democracy has basically ceased to exist in law. So if you taking them to court, they basically got to be in the Article 3 aspect of the court. They can't adjudicate it through a statute or an administrative remedy anymore. You see? This is why they're not talking about the shit. This is why they're so upset about the shit. Because remember, Democrats was the one that put that in place. Islam, brother Sarah. Sarah said, yeah, but you're the only one I heard really talk about it. Indeed, more, because these Moors is not really understanding how this has now opened up the constitutional republic again, which then gives way to our imperial situation as Moors of the empire, who have been given guarantees by the Republican form of government that we've been guaranteed through things like HJR 75, which we'll get into in a second. You know what I'm saying? So remember, all of these surnames that we have that the Pan-Africanists told us came from Caucasian people, these was all our names. These are all our names that they adopted. And when they adopted them, they became names of slaves, i.e. the Slovakians and the Slovenians and these Circassians that were now posing as immigrants who were really freed slaves. They now had the right to do that, which then technically made them slave names. Then that's when Dr. Pleckler, see his name right here? Dr. Pleckler, Walter Pleckler, who was working in league with Marcus Garvey to help re-educate these Moors and making them think that they was from somewhere else. This is the nigga who basically did that. Look at all of these names. These are some of y'all names. I know some Moors named Hamilton. I know some Moors named Birch. I know some Moors named Johns, Roberts, Brandbam, Burley, Maxey, McVeigh, Clarks, Cash. Come on now. Terry. You know how many Terrys I know in my life? Stewart, Wynn, Adkins. These ain't white people. These is all melanated people right here. who they reclassified as Indians. But there wasn't no damn Indians. These is Moors. These is melanated people like me and you who got caught up and reclassified under this fake jurisdiction because of this nigga Pleckler and his racist ass and them trying to take all of the land from the original so-called gypsies. Let me show you what a gypsy look like. This is what the gypsies look like, B. Who they call the Romanis. One of the biggest gypsy names was Portagi or Gi or Fall, F-A-W. Fall was like Bay for the gypsies. You know what I'm saying? So you see all of these names here. Let me get you another one. Here's some more names on the left. And on the right is a gypsy. Painting of a gypsy. See what I'm saying? Look, sorrel. Anybody from Jamaica know what sorrel is? That's a drink. That's a root drink. Right? Nelson, Fortune, Bird. Right? Tate, Mammon, Brooke, Walton, Prince. Look, King and Queen. Essex and King and Queen. What Indian, whenever you heard Indians refer to themselves as kings and queens, that's Moorish shit. It's only now that you get these revisionist jokers that talk this American Indian fake Aboriginal shit and all of that. Now all of a sudden they trying to act like they was kings and queens and shit over here. They wasn't never using that. They was calling themselves wild Indians. They was calling themselves what else they was calling themselves? Calling themselves wild Indians and chiefs, right? And all of this other shit. Red men, right? They was calling themselves all that shit. Sooner the more we've been the Moors, we've been consistently talking about government, nationality, the fact that we was emperors, kings, and queens on this landmass from time immemorial, right? Now all of a sudden they want to get in on that and now try to grift it out like they was ever talking about that, man. Come on, man. But then going to hate on the Moors, gonna be like, oh, well, the Moors are still not from America. Like, this nigga, you sound stupid. You niggas sound stupid at this point. You're just dumb. You're just willfully ignorant, or you being paid by the Bureau of Indian Affairs or whatever organization you trying to deal with. Look, Nelson, Epps, Shepard, Young, Sawyer, Weaver, Locklear, King, Bright, Porter. See what I'm saying? Shiflett, Worlds, Worrell, Atwell, Gutridge. These is all melanated people's names, B. Collins, like the Collins family that come from the Colon, that was all those is original Moors. Siraj said, according to the French, America is the Sharifan Empire. That's right. That's right. They go another one. And they just go on and on. That's why you can claim all of this. But when you annex the ill and the bay back to it, you now link up both halves of the same whole. Look, Westmoreland, Prince William, Tyson. See that? Hoffman. Because the original Moors was the original Hebrews. This nigga, they got stories with William Shakespeare referring to himself as the little Jew. He used to be upset because he used to call him the little Jew, because being a Hebrew or a Jew amongst the dark-skinned nobility and all of that, they used to look at that the way you look at like people from the West Indies and shit coming here and then trying to act like they better than you or whatever. It's the same shit. Dingus, Keith, Castle, Duncan, Prophet, Mullers, Hawkins, Delph, Goings, like Donald Goings, Moore, Washington. When the last time you met a white man named Washington? Probably never. You probably never met a white man named Washington. I haven't. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but I'm saying that that's not a white man's name. because the original Washingtons came from the Wessingtons, right? From Sussex. And all of those was black nobility original people. Look. See what they say? In types of indigenous chiefs, so-called Arabs. Look at this nigga. Looking like Marvin Gaye. Right? Halifax, Sawyer, Tyson, Seagar, Thomas, Barlow, Beverly, Gibson, Freeman. See? The chiefly Tennessee Melungians, Moors. These is all Moors. Didn't they say Lincoln was a Melungian? They said that too, right? See? And he started it. He's the one that started getting everybody to refer to themselves as Indian, all of that, so that way they could fall under the Spanish tax rolls and all of that. And then they could redefine them as Negroes after the Pan-African movement and all that shit shut down, right? With the Marquis of Salisbury, aka what's his name, Marcus Garvey, getting everybody caught up, right? And then from the Garveyites, what happened? That's when the Moors came, that's when the Prophet came, and then redirected all that shit. Put it all back in order, got everybody right, and then what did they do? They used the dirty Moors to come and shut that down. Reorganize the temple, take the civics out, right? Cut them off from the movement, and then turn it into some other shit. But that's what makes us of the several states. Big up to Temple number 8 and the great work those Moors have been doing, and allowing me to show this, of which I'm also a member, out here, so we can show exactly when they talk about the several states and who that is and what that represents. Look. That's from the title of the list is, let me, hold up. I'll close it. Yeah, I'll close it. Hold on a second. Again, this is from the book on Plekla. When you start getting into him and Plekla and Marcus Garvey and him's relationship, I done shown pictures of them together. The list is called the surnames by counties and cities. See that? By counties and cities. We had cities over here. We wasn't just living in villages and huts and shit. Like we wasn't African. We was living in straight stone mason buildings, B. Yes, I'm gonna show you his ancestor. The French Huguenots were Moors. There's a book you can get called The Black Jacobins. Get that book by C.R.R. Lewis. It talks about the French Huguenots. The namely one who was George Washington, aka Washington's great grandfather, was a man named Nicholas Maritou. Straight Moor. I got a whole video on that on the app. When you go to the ADOT app, available at Google Play and Apple Play Store, I got a whole video, 2 videos on that. And I actually showed the image they got in. It's called Surnames by Counties and Cities of Mixed Negroid Virginia Families, look, striving to pass as Indian or white. Case in point, we done flipped it so much with the white North African shit that they done changed that now on the new ethnicity thing, where it don't say North African no more. They done changed it to something else now. So we done made them have to change that shit. See what I'm saying? Because race is a construct anyway. That's all constructed from these devils trying to keep us from that. And by devils, I'm talking about the black nobilities that came and married amongst us and then switched up the records and then acted like they was always us when they know it's the opposite. So we talk about the several states, right? We talking about us. Yeah, white up until maybe a year and a half ago meant anybody from the original peoples of North Africa or the Middle East. So that means up until 2 years ago, a year ago, anybody that was claiming themselves to be white had to be of North African descent. Think about that. But see, North Africa is a play. That's a play to another way of saying America. And I'm going to show you why. Because North Africa is America. Right? But they just got it twisted. But we're going to expose that in a second. See? So when they talk about the several states, they talk about all of the states that the Moors still had sway in, even after the Republic, where they had to put it down that the Moors, that you couldn't do certain things to them. So you will find that the language, when it came down to it in the national government, always had to make a distinction. So you'll see the variations of that in this. So the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the year 1851, right, resolves concerning slavery, resolved that the Massachusetts affirm her new hostility to slavery. See that? We were shutting it down, but this was also shutting down the use of white slaves, because too many white slaves was being raised up by these foreign so-called Moors, who was using them as beasts of war against the rest of us. So we had to outlaw that. You see what I'm saying? In the national governments and all of that. So that way we wouldn't get caught up in that shit. And they couldn't use them against us no more. You see? She longs for harmony among the different parts of our common country, but she cannot conceal the conviction that this can finally be permanently secure only by the overthrow of slavery, so far as can be constitutionally done everywhere within the jurisdiction of what? The national government. See that? The national government. That the free states may be relieved from all responsibility thereof, while freedom instead of slavery shall become national, and slavery instead of freedom become sectional. See that? Resolved that the Massachusetts produce against the fugitive slave law as hostile to the sentiments of Christianity and the abhorrent to the feelings of the people of the Commonwealth. Boom, 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 right? Shall become a dead letter. Then what does it say? Resolved that while Massachusetts attains the views of that law, she claims no right under the federal constitution. See how they made a distinction? Under the federal constitution to nullify, disregard, or to forcibly resist the provisions of an act of Congress. See, this is them fighting against what these Romans is trying to do to the national government. Right? Read all of that. Boom. So this is what it basically says. So basically it says that resolve that His Excellency, the governor, be requested to transmit a copy of these resolves to each of our senators, representatives in Congress, to be by them laid by their respective houses, right? These are the noble houses of the Moors, of the Republic, right? For which it stands. This is just in Massachusetts, right? And whereas in accordance with Massachusetts in her own state convention with such men as John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Christopher Gore, William Cushing, these are all the names that we just seen in that joint. Theophilus Parsons, right? From the Parsons family. Jack Parsons, which is also the Astor family. Rufus King. How many black men you know named Rufus? How many black men you met named Theodore? You come on now. Theodore Sedgwick. Sedgwick is a street in the Bronx where hip hop was founded. Sedgwick and Cedar. Right? Approbation by the Patriot General Heath. The article in the Constitution which relates to the fugitive slaves though she did make objection in the form of respect to the 9 articles, right? Peep this. Now, this is just in Massachusetts. Peep. Be it further enacted by authority of aforesaid in the Senate and the House of Representatives that no African or Negro other than a subject of the Emperor of Morocco or a citizen of some one of the United States to be evidenced by the certificate of the Secretary of State, which he shall be a citizen. See that? That's it right there. So that's in Massachusetts. So this, once it was adopted there, all of the other several states, right, which made up the Circle 7, is what put them in. Now look, this is what it says in the Circle 7. It says, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. The Moroccans born in America were the original ones who were subjects of the Emperor of Morocco, not subjects to the so-called Constitution, right, of the United States that at the time was under slavery. So this is why we say that we were descendants of Moroccans born in America. Islam, born in America, not the United States, because America represents the National Republic. The United States represents the District of Columbia. Islam. Okay. And it said, what is the title of our ruler in Morocco? The Sultan, right? So that's under Sharifian law. So that was Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. Okay, this is now the first one was Massachusetts. This one is now Pennsylvania. What does it say? Be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, no person being of an African or Negro other than the subject of the Emperor of Morocco or citizen of someone of the United States, right, to be evidenced by the certificate from the Secretary of State of which shall be a citizen. When you do your nationality and get your name corrected, who is the ultimate one signing off on it? As the witness, as the last witness on it. When the notary sign it, when the notary stamp it, when the clerk stamp it and the notary stamp it, who they stamping it on behalf of? The Secretary of State, right? Right? Right. Boom. What does it say? So this goes right in with the Circle 7, right? Where it says, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. What is the modern name for the Moabites? Moroccans, right? What is the title of our ruler in Morocco? The Sultan, right? Right. What's another name for, what's the Moorish word for governor? Because it says that His Excellency the governor got to give word to them, right? What's the Moorish word for governor? Bey, that's right. And that's a Moroccan term, right? Is this right here? We just read that they talking about the Emperor of Morocco in America, which means that the extension of the imperial jurisdiction of the so-called Moors extended where? Into the actual American government. Boom. That's from Massachusetts. That's Pennsylvania. Here it is again. This now is Virginia. What does it say? Be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid that no person, being of African or Negro, other than the subject of the Emperor of Morocco or a citizen of one of the United States. See? one of the United States united under the so-called Moroccans, right, who were in league with the so-called American national government that was a part of the old empire or was paying tribute to it. From the state shall be a citizen and shall tarry within the commonwealth no longer than 2 months, upon which a complaint can be made. See? So they was distinguishing who was actually from here, who was not. Let's go to another state. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. According to the Pennsylvania Rule of Evidence 9025, extrinsic evidence of authority as a condition precedent to be admissibility is not required within the respect to the following. This means that all official publications such as House resolutions issued by public authority, such as the PA House of Representatives, are self-authenticating. You know what that means? That means HJR 75 is a self-authenticating document that was put up by what? The public authority. Who was the public authority? The Moors of who were subjects of the Empire of Morocco. Subject of don't mean you under. Subject of mean you a part. Therefore, no statement of certification is necessary for this document in order to use it in an official capacity. So that means when you add that to your own documents dealing with your nationality and it gets signed off by the Secretary of State, what does that mean? That means that it's already authenticated, that they already know what you're doing. HJR 75 of 1933, see? See? That's why it has the red outline. Because it's supposed to cut through the red tape. See? Already authenticated. It's already done. So right when them niggas went into bankruptcy, they had to put something out there to let you know that you still were not a part of that bankruptcy, that you still had the right to maintain your nationality, which was protected by the Republican form of government guaranteed to you through the Constitution, through the national government, based upon you being a citizen of the several states recognized by the Secretary of State and the preamble to the 7th article of the Constitution of the United States for America in General Congress assembled. That's it. The Moors who are found here at the end of their quest for a home and of their children, of those who journeyed here from the plains of Morocco. Where's the plains of Morocco? In Mauritania. Where's Mauritania? Yes, in Texas, right? Which is also in Texas is what? Is it a democracy or a republic? What's in Texas? The Alamo, right? Be it resolved that this House commands that the Moorish American Society of Philadelphia, for the efficient service it has rendered the nation to bringing about the speedy and thorough Americanization of these former Moors, meaning Moors who didn't know, and Moors who formed themselves into being Moors, meaning creators, right? Within accordance with the fullest right of religious independence guaranteed every citizen, we recognize also the right of these people to use the name affixes il and ali or bey or any other prefix or suffix to which they have heretofore been accustomed to use, for which they may hereafter acquire the right to use. Let's keep going. What does it say? From the Circle 7, Key 42. 4 and 2 is 6, which is equality. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land that the Lord thy God giveth thee. Honoring your father and your mother is maintaining your family name. right? The Moors of Delaware, right? And their ancestor, one theory has been that they are of the Moorish race and that their ancestors are Spanish Moors wrecked on the seacoast more than a century ago, right? Luz, which is a gypsy name, and a Delaware name, because the Delawares was the Lenabes, right? There's a book you can get on the Lenabes called the Saga Moors. Look that book up. Brought from the slaver and were thrown into the Luz Creek. The Negro slave who professed to be a chief of one of the Congo tribes, the woman whose name was Regua, shortly after carried her slave and her children not to be allowed to associate with the whites, intermarried with the remnant of who? The Nanticoke Indians, the Moors. What does it say about them? If any person being of the race of people called or known as the Moors to be registered voters in Sussex County in primary special general election shall apply for registration of his name as a qualified voter. See that? Name some of the marks that were put on the Moors in the Northwest by European nations in 1774. And we know that they are not Negroes, blacks, colored folks, and people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given unto them by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during that time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name. See? National government. And to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. That's why the Moors are the one who declare who and what they are. Remember, the lady's name was Regua, right? Regua, right? What does Regua mean in Portuguese? It means what? Sovereign, ruler, king, monarch, lord, dictator. So this was a Moorish queen who was told not to mingle with the free whites, who was from England and all of that. She could only marry back into the family line with the so-called Nanticokes, who were the Lenabes, who they call Lenape. See, what does it say about the Lenape Indian tribe? The Lenape Indian tribe of Delaware recognition. What does it say? The tribe was formerly known as the Moors. This was the clan that made the first deal with William Penn and them. Were known as the Moors, right? And many decades in the 20th century, state documents such as driver's license designated the tribe's race with the letter M. So don't think they don't know what you're doing when you go and claim who and what you are. 1613, the description was faithfully reproduced. In 1621, the word Indian was substituted for Moorish. And the text again was transcribed in 1730. That section of our community, which passes principally among our European settlers by the name of the Moors. They was already here when the European settlers got here. That's what the prophet said, right? So when the Europeans got here, he found the Moors living up and down the Mississippi River. Number, according to the last census, was about 185,000 souls. They are all Mohammedans. In the Syphilis districts, they occupied themselves with petty trade of all kinds. They were a nomadic, idolatrous, and illiterate race, right? And for many years vainly resisted the religion and power of the successors of Muhammad. So we was our own. We had our own version of Islam. So how we Mohammedans, but then we resisted the aspect of the power of the successors of the Muhammad, because they was different. They was bringing their pale version of Islam, the Freemason version of Islam over here, and we wasn't having it. because the word Muslim is an old Delaware word, right? That was here before them, known to the Greeks as Matarusia, right? In the latter days of the Portuguese, the Maracas, right? Known as the French as Morocco, and is currently Morocco, right here in America. And see, they spell it with an A, like I've been saying. Boom, from the Library of Congress. What does that say? Yeah, here we go. From the Nueces and the Bravo rivers, right? There beyond the Nueces and the Bravos rivers lie the Moorish peoples, the ancient Mauritanian races, the Moorish peoples, and their Indian associates to whom Mexico properly belongs. Mexico, i.e., the plains of Morocco. These dudes don't read, B. They don't put it together. It's not hard. Yeah, there ends the valley of the west. There Mexico begin. Thence beyond the Bravo begin the Moorish people and their Indian associates. Exactly. Exactly. This is all enshrined in the so-called several states. Just like it says in here. Now, this one is from Texas. We was in Georgia before. Now, this is in Texas. And what does it say? It says the same thing as say in the other states, right? It says that all servants and enslaves imported brought into this country by sea or by land who were Christians in their native country, except Turks and Moors, in amity with Her Majesty and others that can make due proof of their being free in England. But we know England was also in America too, based upon the exotic map of the United States. Journals of the House of Representatives, 1789 and 1790. What does it say? A petition was presented to the House of the sundry free Moors, subject of the Emperor of Morocco, and the residents in this state, praying that in case they could commit any fault amenable to be brought to justice, that they, as subjects to a prince in alliance with the United States of America, may be tried under the same laws as the citizens of this state would be liable to be tried, and not under the Negro Act, which was received and read. That's it. What they gonna say now? How we not from here? We so from here that they made a distinction that we wasn't even supposed to even breed with them. Report that they have considered the same of the opinion that no law of this state can in its construction or operation apply to them, and that persons who were subjects of the Emperor of Morocco being free in the state are not triable by the law for better ordering or governing of Negroes and other slaves. That's why you have to be tried on under the status of white. That's why they tried to change the status of white. This is why the free white people tried to put themselves under being white by claiming to be of the original peoples of North Africa. You see what I'm saying? To get the same rights we had or have. Codification in the state of Georgia. What does it say? Exceptions in favor of the Aborigines, the Moors, and the Hindus. See that? In every state, they adopted the same thing. Exceptions in favor of the Aborigines, the Moors, and the Hindus. The provisions, prohibitions, and penalties of this act shall not extend to any American Indian, free Moor, or Lascar. But the burden of proof in all cases of arrest of any person of color shall be on such person of color to show him or herself exempt from the operations of his act. And how does one do that? By declaring their nationality. Islam, you see, this is why anybody that say nationality or declaring your nationality is somehow bad is an agent. Straight up. I'm showing you. It's fake. They lying. They don't want you to have your remedy. They want you to be caught up on some Indian shit with the rest of them because they can't declare their nationality because they sold out. And because we're distinctly American in that way, America also translates to Morocco. Let's prove that. What does this say? Treaty of Marrakesh, 22nd, 23rd conditions, U.S. Treaty Series 244-2, right? This is every word from the joint translated. What does it say? Al-Shart, the condition. Al-Thanin wal Al-Sharin, 22. Anahu, when. Mahman, whenever, whoever. Mata, died. Abaddon, one of. Min, from. Jinns, the people. Al-Moroccanos, the Moroccans or Americans. Boom, that's it. That's it. That's it. It's from the treaty series. So the term Moroccan and American in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship was used, as they say, interchangeably. Let's go further. Muslim or Muslim, right? Dr. Barry Feld introduced in his book Saga America, 1984, solid scientific evidence supporting the arrival of centuries before Columbus, the Muslims of North and West Africa. Dr. Feld discovered the existence of modern Muslim schools at Valley of Fire, Allen Springs, Lago Mauricio, Keyhole Canyon, Washoe, which is Washita, the Hickerson Summit Pass, Nevada, the Mas Verde, Colorado, Mimbres Valley, New Mexico, the Tippecanoe, Indiana, dating back to 700 and 800 CE. Engraved on the rocks in the old Western U.S., he found text, diagrams, charts representing the last surviving fragments of what was once a system of schools at both the elementary and higher levels. The language of instruction was Old Arabic written in Old Kufic. That's the original so-called Arabic script. Subjects of instruction included writing, reading, arithmetic, religion, history, geography, mathematics, astronomy, sea navigation. The descendants of the Muslim visitors of North America are members of the present-day what? Iroquois, Algonquin, Anasazi, Hohokam, and Olmec native peoples. That's it. That's it. It's sad when you gotta depend on the white man to give you the information that your own brothers is trying to hide from you because they want to be dancing up and down and acting like they a part of something that they know they really not, because they sold out. They sold us out. Going back to this. So they talk about the American missionaries, right? Oh, before I read that, let me read this. So we just read that about when they came, right? Remember we read that in the several states section, right? We read that. Now we're gonna read this. This is from the Congressional Record, from the Congressional Globe. Boom, the divisions of this world, this work it is which is to make San Francisco the New York of the Pacific, soon to vie with the Queen of the Atlantic, but scarcely to surpass her. From these 2 points, as centers of either side, the commercial streams will radiate and be reflected back with increased intensity. On one hand, from the mother of our American races, the home of the Moor. Let's read it again. The home of the Moor and the African. And on the other, from the cradle of our first parents and furthest isles of the sea, abounding with those rare and costly. Islam. That's it. What are these niggas talking about that Moors not from America? We not born here. I just showed and proved to you that we was here before everybody else. These niggas is straight pack. They straight liars. They're liars. Boom. As if the commerce and natives of the world uniting in our folly to the crime could accomplish it. We are still of the sins and the gospel of one blood for all humanity, the common brotherhood. To cherish is still fatal the delusion of the antagonism of races. A statement of plain proposition or two should dissipate our alarm. The Negro is a man now and hereafter in American law, politics, society, to be treated as such. He is a citizen entitled to the common rights of citizenship and to protection. We may as well comprehend the question of the Negro. He will remain here an inhabitant of this country, our country, his country, and that no other opposition by force or laws over which we have no control. The political history discloses no folly comparable with the attempt to rid a nation by force and violence of a numerous race of indigenous people indigenous to it. This is the second part of the first part we read, but you see that they mentioned the Moor first, then the African, then the Negro. In line, the one with the nationality, the national. Then they went to the Negro, who was the citizen, the subject, right? Then we went to the Negro, who is the person, the one who has been denationalized to make him think that he's not from here. What does it say? The Moors and Turks. In 1639, the first black Moor birth was recorded. That's when they first recorded a birth of a Moor and Turk. In Wilmington, Delaware. The Moors and Turks were not considered to be slaves because during the 17th century, their home countries were in friendship with the King of England, another Moor, because they was all Moors in terms of being of darker skin. Their ships were marooned. Didn't we just read that in the several states part? Their ships was marooned off the coast. Many Muslims were absorbed by the Indian tribes, most likely that the Native Americans were friendly enough to keep them from starving, to welcome them into their tribes because they had similar skin features. What are these niggas talking about? And because they presented no serious threat to the existence of the Native Americans. So that means we wasn't throwing them in slavery, was we? We wasn't doing that, was we? No, we wasn't. All that shit came after the war started. The following Native American tribes have been found to have been descendants of the Muslim Moors: the Alibamu, the Anasazi, the Apache, the Arab Indians of Summit, the Schoharie County, the New York, the Arawak. I thought they said the Arawaks was only in Escamaica in Jamaica. No, the Araucana, where you get Arkansas from, the Black Indians of the Schuylkill River, the New York Siskiyou, which is the Blackfoot, the Tusalagi, who was the Cherokees, the Clappers, who are the Chickasaw of New York, the Creeks, the Hassanamisco. Listen to the word Hassan. What Indian name is Hassan? The Nipmuc of Massachusetts, the Kickapoo, the Lascar tribe, the Paraquams, the Hartford, North Carolina, Lenape, the Mohegans, the Macans, the Macas, right? The Mecca Indians, the Mohammeds, the Mohegans, the Nanticokes, the Seminoles. So boom, we just bust them up with that. Now they're going to have to form a whole committee of these fake Indian niggas out here going to have to try to figure out a way to dispel all of this now. What lie they going to come up with now? Now, we already decided in who the American nationals were, right? We already showed them as being the Moors, right? A great deal of diplomatic correspondence of the United States in regard to the extraterritorial rights has risen around the denial of such rights to the American missionaries in the Orient, i.e. the Moors in the Orient, which again is the farthest west, which is the farthest east, here. Although many of the European nations have special relations and certain ecclesiastical organizations, i.e. the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine and National Movement, and act as representative and protectors of these organizations in the Orient. Didn't the Prophet Noble Jew Ali said that the European is the secret protectors of the Moorish Empire? Didn't he say that? Well, this is what it is right here, confirming that. At the very great diplomatic correspondence in the Orient, the Great Britain and traditional Germany are obligated to defend the great faiths, which are so closely connected with their national history. The United States may be said to have a really distinctive policy, that of the protecting of who? The American missionaries, to the same degree as other American citizens. Islam? Discussing the rights of the American missionaries in Turkey, which is where? On the exotic map. Turkey is in Georgia, right? Tuscarora, right? Right. So here we go and bust them down with showing you that America and Morocco is already in the same place. Here it is. This is confirming that. So now we can shut this down. Look. 250 million old piece of Africa found in southeastern United States. Larger portions may still be discovered. Look. Showing you how it all is connected. Ain't this North Africa right here? Ain't this North Africa right here? So anything north of that or northwest of that, right, is still Africa, ain't it? So going all the way up the ridge, all the way up from this side of Africa up into Europa, all the way up in here, all the way on the other side of Greenland, coming all the way down to the Greenland Islands, the Falkland Islands, all the way down to the southeastern portion of the United States. That's all Morocco. That's all so-called Northern Africa. So what else they gonna lie about? How else are we not from here? We already in Africa. I ain't got to go over there. It's already here. It's over here. Where the most of the so-called original so-called people live. In the South, right? In the Southeast, right? Didn't they tell us that? Yep. Yep, they did. Yep. Yep. That's what it is, B. They just don't want us to have nothing. They don't want us to be of our own thing. Okay, we're going to prove Montezuma was a Moor. We already went into the 1621 demonstration, right? With the Moorish hat, when they turned everything from Moorish to Indian, right? Here you go. Right here. From the book. The standard or headdress. See? Montezuma. What does it say? Excuse me. Hold up. This specimen was termed in the inventory in 1596 as a Moorish hat. Okay? From an Ambrose collection, found a precious relic rescued in the obscure corner of the showcase where it hung folded together next to a medieval bishop's fez, which is mitre, which is a fez, and surrounded by sundry curiosities. Sundry meaning the sundry free Moors. Curiosities from North America, China, and the Sundia Islands. What does it say about Montezuma? The term Moorish, as here applied, can be scarcely be regarded as a deceptive one, inasmuch as Montezuma, the king of the Temistian and Mexico, is subsequently designated a Moorish king in this same inventory in 1596. So that smashes Montezuma being some wild-looking old flat-faced Mexican, right? Or being any other thing other than what he was, a Moor, just like me and you today. That's why they scared of us. That's why they don't want to accept their nationality, because these niggas have sold out. All of them corporate names, Cherokee and Choctaw, all that shit. That's all the sellout shit. What does it say? All that Walston reports is so apocryphal as this, but he is a mere compiler with different discrimination as to what he pillages. He indulges the latest fads of Oriental spelling. The Quran, Koran, becomes the Quran, Quran, and he that we knew as Mohammed, right, and have come to speak of as Mohammed, here he figures as Muhammad. O before U, K before Q. While our old Muslim, which we just defined as an old Delaware word, Lenabe Algonquin word, who were Moors, Muslim, Moslem, becomes Muslim. But he does not tell us how to sound these new vowels he sticks in, though we must suppose he gives them the ordinary English sound for that part of Arabia, which we know as Yemen, that he spells as Yamen. See? The same way they switched everything up with the Moorish for Indian. Just like here. What does it say? In 1906, the Quran and Muslim was seen as fads in Oriental spelling. Our old Muslim became Muslim. Our Quran became Quran. From the Springfield Weekly Republican, Springfield, Massachusetts, August 2nd, 1906. So again, y'all just following behind these pale arrows because that's who you think invented this shit. And them niggas came into this thing late. They stole it basically from you. And now you following behind them like they got the key to heaven and they don't. We smashing them. That's why there's no need for no debate and none of that. Like what why am I for what? For what? For what? I don't already proved it. Just play the video and debate the video. I ain't got time to sit here and talk to you niggas about shit that has already been proved over back in 1596. It's not my fault that y'all don't want to have a nationality. It's not my fault that y'all want to act like y'all don't know that water wet. That's what y'all want. Y'all want to debate that. I ain't got time for none of that. I done already told you a 250 million piece of Africa is already here. From the American Muslim. The American Muslim should not be a stranger to American soil. It is the humble opinion that he has been here for a long time. In fact, since the nation was born, it is not claiming to be much to say that he presided at its birth. George Washington was a Muslim, alike with the other kindred spirits of the American Revolution. Peace came to rest to him at Mount Vernon. He sat beneath the golden crescent, the significant emblem which adorn his summer sanctuary. Come on, man. Come on, man. And remember, the Muslims done use the crescent and star. That's not their symbol of Islam. The oldest map of North America. The map found in Nevada is, according to the author, an Arabic copy inscribed in the Trans-Pacific settlers on a rock in 800 AD, copied from the Libyan original drawn character. From the 1st century BC, the map is marked partly in ancient Libyan script and partly in Arabic. The Libyan script indicates the island of Hawa, which is Arabic for wind, and the fact that the northwest there is no passage, and in the center of the continent is the word MR, which is more, the Libyan word for land on the other side of the sea, and possibly the origin for the word America or Maraca or Amurukah, Amurukah. We could go all night. Like they don't, all of this stuff, they just being willfully ignorant, B. Willfully. What does it say? I introduce these comparisons to bring home to your minds as near as possible that the precise position and character of the territory which was the seat of evil I'm about to say, the Christian slavery banished from the last of Europe, banished from that part of the hemisphere to correspond with the latitude of Europe, should have entrenched itself on both hemispheres between the same parallels of latitude, so that Virginia, Carolina, Mississippi, and Texas should be the American complement to Morocco, Algiers, Tripoli, and Tunis. Nor does it what does it say? Slave states which now seem, alas, to stretch from the Atlantic Ocean, where? To the Rio Grande, to Mauritania. Here in America, it's supposed to embrace the 700,000 square miles to which it cannot be far from the space comprehended by what may be called the Barbary States of America. That's it. So we already here. We already where we supposed to be. We in the imperial lands. We in the ancient lands of our ancestors already, without having to go nowhere. Where everybody else gotta come here to be around us to be blessed. from the book The Negro, Black, and Moor, generally termed for the non-whites embracing most peoples found from India through Indonesia, as well as the Africans and the occasional Americans, since Moor and Mortis had also been used for Americans. Didn't I just show you in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, breaking down, it said Almoricanos can mean Americans or Moroccans interchangeably? Yes. The Latin German also describes that Dine Weissen Mortem, which means the white Moors, i.e. the free white people. See? What did Franklin say? Why should the Palatine Moors be suffered to swarm into our settlements? They will never adopt our customs any more than they can adopt our complexion. All of Africa, Asia, and America are swarthy, i.e. Moorish, black, such as Russia, Italy, Spain, France, the Swedes, the Germans are black. The principal whites are made up of Saxons and the English. That's it. The Scots, the Welsh, the Irish are not Saxon or English, which means what? They're melanated too, so-called black. When Benjamin Franklin writes this essay in 1751, the black German King George II is sitting on the throne of England. So what? He was the only one? No. So to be clear, Germany, Empire. The German right here on the left, the Burgundians right here in the middle, which represent the Europeans. Then we got the Asians, which represent India and all of that, on the far left. All Moors, right? All Moorish empires existing simultaneously at the same time. Literally in living color. Right? Then you have so-called right? You got North African, so-called American, right? You got Asian in the middle, and then you got Moroccan over there, all at the same time. You got Roman, Byzantine, Roman, Byzantine, and Greek, all at the so-called same time. We indigenous to Earth, B, to the whole Earth. At one point, it was nothing but us all over, and they had to figure out a way to shut that down. And when I say they, I'm talking about us. We had to figure out a way to bust ourselves down. So-called Malaysian, which is Hindu or Indian, so-called African, right? And so-called Dravidian, all rocking at the same time. All at the same time. So everything else is cat, B. Everything else is these niggas trying to box us out of our blessing and trying to make it seem like these other people is something else that they not. Because they not. We the only ones that's from here. And we wasn't from here as no American Indians and none of this other bullshit. All of the shit these niggas is telling us is cat, B. They trying to just always make it seem like we're trying to take somebody else's identity. And the main people that's doing that is people that look like us. Ain't no white people giving me no problems with this shit. Because even if they did, I wouldn't give a damn. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I know who I am. That's why you're able to declare your nationality and get your headdress and everything else and your title, nobility, and all of that shit on official so-called federal documents that say that U.S. citizens can't do none of that shit. How is it that you doing it? The emblem of America, look what it said, types of nationalities, Moorish, right? And what's that in the middle? Part of the World's Fair exhibit from the exhibition, right? Moorish temple, where? In Panama. So don't waste your time casting pearls to swine and talking to these fools about it. Let them get caught up in all of the supposition and all of the BS that's out here that these niggas keep putting out here to distract us from getting our own homes and our own nationalities and our own families straight, putting ourselves under trust and ensuring those trusts and everything so that way we have something outside of this shit. God forbid this thing collapses. They want us to be destitute just like them. But remember, Denzel showed you in the movie Roman J. Israel, who was on the refrigerator on the right hand side, the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, who's standing on one of the Moorish flags, which was one of the British ensign red flags that we said, so-called Washington, or the white man they got posing as Washington, because that ain't him. And what did he do at the end of the movie? He took himself to court. Roman J. Israel versus Roman J. Israel. But he took and deaded the straw in that movie and went back to real life, went back to proper life. But everybody missed that because everybody watching it just watching it from the perspective of legalese, of Chevron deference law, and all that shit is dead. Get this book if you can as well. Anybody have any questions? Exactly. The Muskogee is the mosque. Skogie. Gee is supposed to be spelled Ghee, like the old Portuguese from the so-called gypsies, who again were Moors, or who they also call Melungeons. The Confederate flag or banner was the second national flag of the Confederate States of America, which again was all connected to the original Moorish Confederacy that they're calling the Indian Confederacy, or the so-called Algonquin Confederacy of who? The barbarous nations. We already showed and proved that Barbary's over here, North Africa's over here, Morocco's over here, England was over here, Turkey was over here. So again, they keep trying to get us to leave, go to Africa, go somewhere else, and it's the exact opposite. We already been here. We already in it. We're on it. Because they be getting us to follow behind these traders from these different organizations who've been trying to get us to be something else that we not over the years in front and working with the same Nazis and shit. This is a picture of the American Nazi Party at the Nation of Islam rally, sitting front row. And then here go your boy, Michael Luther King and Abernathy with Levinson and them, who were the Zionists, communists that was working with them to steer the black people away from the true aspect of the Indian Rights, this Indian Rights Act that they redubbed the Civil Rights Act. And they doing the same thing today, working right with the Zionists, working right with these people who they say that we're supposed to just allow us to, rule us and control our destinies. That ain't how it's supposed to go. This is the Palestinians right here. 1930 photograph of two Canaanites in Palestine, two Moors in Palestine, the original Palestinians before the genocide. These are the descendants of the Canaanites and the Philistines who are mentioned in the Bible, i.e. the Moors. This is the people who set up the NAACP. So when you get NAACP awards, image awards, you're getting it from them too. It's all a scam. They're talking about free Palestine. How you going to free Palestine without freeing the Moors? It's a scam. It's another scam. Take away from the fact everybody living off our ignorance of our nationality except us. This nigga right here is the one who set up Marcus Garvey. Well, y'all can hear me, right? This is the dude who set up Garvey. FBI agent. The FBI was set up by Napoleon's great-great-great-grandson, Charles Bonaparte. Look it up. So again, how are you going to free Palestine and you're not trying to free the Moors and talk about where their true nationality is? Anybody else have any questions? What's up? Islam. Anybody else have any questions? Real quick, check these books out too. Indeed. We are the divine and national movement. True indeed. Because we the last ones left. We the last ones still rebelling against all of the fake designations that they keep trying to throw on us, including our own people. We the only ones rebelling against all of these fake designations and fake names that they keep trying to put on our people, man. We the only ones rebelling against that and gathering information to constantly keep them at bay and constantly keep checkmating them when they try to come up with new ways to try to denationalize us by using people that look like us. That's the most exhausting part. That's why we can't even waste time on these niggas to even be doing that no more, B. Let them bury their dead. Let them say whatever they gonna say. What do you care what somebody with no nationality think? They don't have no nationality. They don't know who they really are. They going by who they taught they are, not who they really are. And then when you try to tell them who they are, tell them they don't want to hear from you because they done read some propaganda about what Moors are. Let the dead bury the dead. Everybody on the western portion of the continent, they connected to us in that way. You know what I'm saying? They connected. However, if they're born anywhere else than here, then they can't be indigenous from here. They could be Moors. They could be adopted into the joint, but they, you know what I'm saying? But they can't never claim to be, indigenous from the land, just like I can't be indigenous to Africa over there. You know what I'm saying? Nor should I try to be, nor should they try to be. But let's join up in peace and friendship today and then see what we can do. So lastly, as we go out, this is a copy. I found this again. The convenient truth of the idea resulted in the quickly agreed upon ratification of reformation. The later Inter Gravicissimus was adopted and distributed through the Christendom, eventually resulting in the total adoption of the new Gregorian calendar. A final note from His Holiness. While we are certain to spend a great amount of time and effort and money continuing to erase the abomination of days past, our collective history, it is the great gratitude that in this letter it was written. Your brotherhood is to be commended for your valiant service of our time of need, your ingenuity of devising an appropriate solution to the resulting problems, and your compassion and understanding of the frailty of the eternal tenuous disposition. In closing, we have agreed to implement your new calendar and accept the related daily difficulties the effects of these changes will produce. Effective immediately, in the year 1582 AD, the last day of the Julian calendar was Thursday, October 4th, and that the first day of the Gregorian calendar was Friday, October 14th. See that? All references to anything that happened during these dates is from this day forward forbidden. To be clear, let history show that these 10 days never happened. By 10 days, they're basically talking about over making time. It was called the Inter Gravicissimus. So that 100 years and all of that shit we talking about, this is how they did it. Taking you from the Julian to the Gregorian. And then from the Gregorian to some other shit. That all they do is change the words, change the times, change to this, change to that. So that way you don't even know what words you're supposed to be using. And that's what they've done to humanity now. That's why they'll talk about that this chick Harris is supposed to be the new woman and she's supposed to be women and this and that. But then if you ask her what a woman is, she can't tell you. So what sense does that make? They're liars, all of them. I got this image of Tama Ray from somebody on Facebook sent it to me. So big up to whoever made this image. I don't know who it is. On the left. Tamaray, the land of the Moors. See that? So whenever they talk about Tartaria, Cathay, Cambria, all of that was America. All of that. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you guys. If you have any questions, again, with anything else in terms of individual processes or anything like that, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. You can definitely reach me there. Also, if you can, definitely check out my link page. Pull it up for you right now. www.aseertheduketeers.com. Definitely please check that out. If you haven't already, I got a lot of the links to the old stuff I was doing up there. Definitely please hit that up. Also, definitely check out ADOT app. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Pass it on to everybody else. Please have them subscribe. You can subscribe for 3 months or subscribe for the whole year. I'm constantly updating it. Like I said, I'm going to be able to do the lives on it soon. So I might do a live from the Gathering of the Masters event that's coming up in October 11th in ATL. So if you're out there, definitely come through. Definitely check that out. Definitely check out www.cordobaorganics.com, of course, for all the skincare needs. I got a video up of Selena talking about the products on the app right now. If you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. Also, if you haven't already, please check out the Darsco 418, world's most dangerous comic book novel. Thanks to everybody that's been purchasing it and going through. I'm diligently working on the next installment. I'm actually, again, thank you guys for the support, because this is the last 3 joints. This is the last 3 books from this run. So I'm about to order some more. These are the last 3 that went out this week. So again, you can definitely check that out. Also, I'm gonna have a whole site just dedicated to all of the entertainment stuff I'm doing in terms of the books and the characters and all of that. I'm gonna try to do like tutorials for people whose children and stuff wants to get into comic book writing and fiction writing and stuff like that. I'm gonna be doing that through the Darsco 418 site, ds418.com. Getting help with that from Sustain Branding. That's the company that I've been working with to get this stuff out to you guys. So big up to them. And again, man, thank you guys for the support. If you haven't, if you want to still donate, you can do so to Cash App, to capital DS418 through Cash App. If you're doing through PayPal, you can go to dukeoftears@gmail.com. So definitely please support. Like I said, this is a grassroots movement. I don't have corporate support. You know, I don't get invited to none of the major stuff these jokers be doing, nor would I go if I was. So again, I'm trying to keep it as pure and direct to the people as I can. You know what I mean? So again, I really appreciate all of the help. If anybody hasn't sent their $30, please do so. Again, man, I couldn't do it without you guys. I hope that you guys got something from it, inshallah. And again, you can hit me up, houseofbell@hotmail.com. All right. Anybody has any last questions or anything before we close out? You as well, man. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You know how they be doing. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you keep your head on a swivel. And like I said, if you're going to participate in the purely ceremonial participatory aspect of voting. Don't tell nobody what you're going to do. Just do it. You know what I'm saying? So big up to everybody in the class. Thank you guys again for the support. Inshallah, if anybody wants to hit me up about joining class, that's go listen to this in the future, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. All right? Peace. Long live the empire.